putting that in chat for you. There you go in chat, and yeah, please do make sure that you write your name in the attendees list. And also, if you have any item that you want to talk about, you can mention them in the agenda item. Right, so we'll be starting with as in the sequence. And so the first announcement is about internships, and Yash will be presenting it. So Yash, do you mind? My apology. So I skipped one part, and that is about newcomers. So, Brad. Yeah, so before we start with the topics, there is a tradition in the community and the projects meeting that we'll be letting all the newcomers on. Yeah, let's see who all are newcomer on the call today. So I see Vastavi on the call. So Vastavi, remind introducing yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a really tough ask, by the way, to just sort of jump right in with making someone introduce themselves when they've only been on for the first time. So it's always hard. It might be, I don't know, it might be nice to just, Yash, in the past, you've sort of introduced Meshery as what it is in terms of a project. That might be nice context for some folks. And then hopefully we can welcome a couple of newcomers.
Yeah. So hey everyone. Meshery is a CNCF project which helps you manage multi-cluster environment, cloud-native environment. So it's you can learn more about the Meshery from docs.meshery.io. It will provide you and helps you to do multi-clustering with your team members collaboratively. So there is so much to learn about the Meshery. So in context, yeah, that's about Meshery. And about me, so I'm Yash, and I'm contributing here since around half a year now. Maybe it's a 2 year now. So I mainly contribute in the part of front end and back end. So this is my introduction, and if you are new to today's meeting, I would suggest you to introduce yourself too.
Hey, great. Last week we had Pradeep introduce himself. That was wonderful. Pradeep, there were a few messages in Zoom that you might have missed, so we copied them to Slack, but I'm not sure that you've maybe seen them there either. So are you with us today? Hey, Pradeep, are you there? Mr. Ashwath? Audio issues. Great. I'll let you answer those two questions then in Zoom chat about last week's messages. So great. Okay. You'll type them out. All right. Well, good. Hey, so Vivek, back to you. You were going to welcome a couple of newcomers and we're going to get some topics going.
Yeah. So then we also have one more newcomer on the call, and that is Rishabh. So Rishabh, do you mind talking about the language that you work on, in projects, and also how did you come to know about the community? Just a heads up that if you are facing any audio issues, please use chat. You also can introduce yourself there. Rishabh, would you like to go? Yeah, I think there's some audio issues on Rishabh's end. All right, so I'll let Rishabh introduce in the chat. All right, so now let's get going with the topics. And once again, yes, to you, you will be announcing some of the LFS internships.
So hey everyone, we recently opened couple of LFX internship. Meshery is one of the top LFX internship openers. So I will highly suggest you guys to check out this layer 5/program/LFX page, which give you
Wait, sorry to interrupt. Sorry, point of order. Did you say Meshery is one of the top?
Yeah.
Okay, can we correct that, please? Meshery is the top by far, by like 5x its second competitor. Like it is like far, many, many miles away, the most popular number one by far for many years in a row. I just want to be super clear. Like it's a poop load of work to help people and mentor people. And oh yeah, we do a ton of it. And so
Yep.
I want to stand proud on that. So
Yeah, we all are proud of that. So Meshery is, yeah, that's true. Meshery is one of the, or by far most popular internship right now in the LFX. So those LFX internships are open for the summer projects. I will highly suggest you guys to go on the layer5/program/LFX. I will share the link inside the chat so that you can go and explore which internship mentorship suits you well. You will check out the upstream issue and the LFX URL. So, and go and apply. We are near to the mentees application date, so submission date. So make sure that you are checked out as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Yash. So I've also dropped the link that Yash was presenting in the chat. So if you want to check that out, you can. And you can find all the details about the mentors and the projects and the skills required. All right. So then we have item from Antoinette. So Antoinette, do you mind sharing your item?
So my quick update today is that I covered most of the RTK query API, certain endpoints or queries that were not intentionally missed, but it wasn't it was an opportunity to test it out to see if we can get it done in the RTK query itself instead of relying on the custom data fetch that we have. And then I covered majority of the reducers been transferred over to the features or a slice. I covered most of those as well. Anything from anything that can be added as an additional action that you can dispatch with Redux and also with RTK query API and listener middleware. All of that has been transferred over, like the organization, the keys, the user authentications, the token provider, and then a couple others. But I have no new demo to show this week, but I will be showing next week once I get the issue that I was running into yesterday done. So that's it for me. Yeah. Anybody have any questions about my statement?
Right. Thank you, Antoinette. So
yeah, wait, I
assuming
do. I do. I'm just waiting for Abid too. Abid, what feedback?
Yeah, sorry, actually my bandwidth is a bit low unless my voice is coming.
It is.
Yeah, so I think I don't have any particular feedback right now on this PR. I would need to look, but I think what Antoinette said is completely right, and I think I agree with most of it right now. I need to look into the PR.
Another question.
One. Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I will have a PR sometime this week or next week once I get the initial load to come out, because the issue that I ran into yesterday was with the organization piece and the user portion. And so the way I had to load up, it was causing a bottleneck. So I had to press all that and then try to start all over to try to get some of it to load first before everything else. And but yeah, I'll have a PR sometime this week or next week.
It is like, I don't know if you have a work in progress PR, so can take a look at it right now, because So it would be like also easy for you can get feedback and can all be on the same page. But in a week's time, it will a lot of things will change, and it's hard to know what's going on. Like even if it's broken, like if it doesn't compile or anything, just to look at the code and like most things can be, we can get better feedback that way.
I understand. Um, so the pages that I have done, as we all already know, are is the provider page. So that's already done. Part of it is, well, actually, majority of the data fetch has been done with RTK query. So those are done. The pages that I am currently working on are one of the biggest one is the filters, and as well as part of it in the settings, because majority of the settings that we have is important to the entire app. And mostly the settings, and as you already saw the homepage with the sorry, it's not coming to me. The charts and the resources, those have just been blocked because I can't see the resources. But once I get that done, then we'll be able to see that part as well. So that's that part. Now everything else are the custom component that we have that can be kind of consolidated or updated. And I also was working on a notification center, not to make any big changes to a bit and the work that already been done to it. But I had a little bit of a trouble with the toggling. I'm pretty sure that the current implementation is meant to be, but I was having an issue with it because I couldn't get the drawer to open like it's supposed to. To keep like doing this, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. So I separated the state so that I can just click and get it to open instead of having it toggle hover whenever I was hovering over the button. But I will change that back. But I think that I'm not aware of the content to how that happened, and I remember Lee and a couple other people that were asking for to have it implemented like that. The provider UI, no, I'm working from now on with everything together. The provider's already been moving in to a UI. The thing that I have is just utilizing the new feature from React 18, the suspense, the error boundary that we currently have, and the ability to have everything kind of like load a lot easier instead of the current implementation that we have. So
Like with suspense, like if we do something, please try to document first, like it's new feature and there might be some non-trivial cases that we might face. So if you'd be a bit careful with that. And I'm thinking like regarding the notification draw that said like right now we're tracking two states, like one is the completely open and closed state and another is the peak behavior. So both of those are tracked in the legacy Redux store that we had. So just if that will help you in any way.
oh and I completely know what you're talking about. The way I have it is it was separate. I'm not even using the legacy store. So once I made all of the changes over to use the slice from a Redux toolkit, majority of the states that are actually being handled is just through the content provider. Now the React Relay as well as the RTK, yes, RTK does have support for GraphQL. However, if you want to keep using the React Relay, there is a hack to try to have it together. But from all the researchers and people that are talking about it, it's better to have it separate. So if we were going to do anything with React Relay, we can have it for legacy purposes if we do plan to have everything being done with RTK query. Or
if there's
have
like integrating data, like I know like you can hook into the app sockets using RTK, but I don't know like if that's necessary because mostly we use RTK for the caching behavior and mostly for the REST APIs. Like I don't know, like if we really need to integrate it with the React layer. I think we can keep it just separately, unless you think
No.
we'll get
I
some.
understand. It just something that I was testing, and from what I've seen, because the whenever I first joined, that was one of the things that was a like to be able to do was to try to better integrate the existing Redux legacy store, and also to utilize the React Relay a little bit better. And so whenever it does come to it, to actually go back and make sure everything is working correctly, like up to date. Some of the things will still be in place, like the current subscription that we're currently polling for the Kubernetes context and Meshery operator and so on and so forth. Those will still be in place. It's just me. It's not, what I'm proposing to do so. But yes, but as everybody know, RTK query does have support for it, but the problem is that there's no reason to integrate it with React Relay. You might as well just use the native packages that or support that RTK query already have, or use a separate one that still has GraphQL features. So right. The WebSocket, as long as you unmount and mount like you're supposed to, it'll be fine. And then I think we need to add another check in the WebSocket client for the React Relay to try to shut down cleanly instead of just panicking just because it's not connected anymore. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
So thank you, Internet. So let's wait for 5 to 6 more seconds if anyone else have any question, or we shall go ahead.
Yeah, I think like one last thing I might have missed this. Like you mentioned, like while you were migrating from the existing legacy Redux store, did you directly migrate to new RTK slices, or you started using the reducers from React? Just to be clear on that.
no, I migrate directly. I wasn't even using the tool at that time. Whenever I first started doing it, so I had already had like some of these already been set up. I can't remember like last year or early, like late the year before, like early when I first started. So I already have all of those. It's just that but I mean, I can start using it from now on if you need me to. So.
I think I just want to. I think these are pretty great updates. We'll get. I think on the latest version of everything with these. I think these are really really important. That's why.
Okay.
Thanks.
So thank you, Internet, for these updates. Next up, we once again have yours with these updates. So yours, do you mind going next?
Okay, so I recently raised a PR to fix the connection API issues coming in the local provider. For those who are new to today's meeting, we have Meshery supports Meshery can support multiple local provider. You can create one of yours. Local provider means Meshery stores information in local database. So if you want to know more about providers and how to and learn more about them, you can go to docs.meshery.io. In the local Meshery provider, we have issues with the connections API because the implementation was not done for them, and because of that, UI was showing the error in the local provider. So I made sure we fixes those. I haven't posted the latest changes yet. But yeah, most of issues are now fixed. I will make sure that this issue gets merged today. So if anybody have any questions.
Have you verified the Kubernetes connection registration as well as other connection registration, for example, Meshery server and everything?
No,
The
right now I
end-to-end?
no, right now I haven't verified, but I actually the changes were directly in the mm, local provider default Golang file. So I just right now I just separated and make sure that we have consistent code
Yeah,
as
the
others.
interface has been implemented. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just after that I will be testing and make sure that I add those test cases in my PR.
Yeah, and also it could be that if you can also verify the connections pages in the UI
Mhm.
when you are in send and provider, so that because it might be the case because we have environments, so environments are also not implemented for local
Yes.
providers, so that connection UI page might break. So you might need to consider that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then afterward, like you can update the PR with the test and the results, and then we can review it
Mhm.
and once
Yeah, I made sure like I already made some updates. I just need to test it before pushing the changes. So I will let you guys know and I will update the PR description for testing.
By the way, yes, there was a question in comments. Okay, yeah. So what's an environment? And Lee has attached a link with it. So if anyone is interested, they can refer to the docs. So is there anything else from your side?
Thank you, Vivek. I don't think so. There is any other thing.
Right, so we'll start. Right, so next update is from Uzair. So Uzair, do you mind?
yeah, sure. So this item is particularly related about like when you are enforcing a provider when you are starting Meshery. So you can also enforce if you don't want to. Like, usually the flow is that you navigate to look 9081 or like Meshery dashboard, and it asks to select one of the providers like Meshery, None, or CNCF Labs and everything. But you can also enforce providers. So there was an issue happening wherein like if you enforce a provider and if there is a mismatch in which you are for which provider service server is configured and what provider user is trying to access. So if there is a mismatch, so server was like responding directly with a non-appropriate error message, like it was just responding with 401 unauthenticated without the actual info and everything. So I've ensured like server response with correct info as well as the provider enforcement logic is correct. Previously, it was just working for Meshery provider. So this was one of the item. And the other one was we have like bunch of middlewares, and two of them are like session injection middleware, which injects the session like the user records, like what is the name, profile, and such records, what is the roles and everything. And there is an auth middleware, and as the name suggests, the purpose for auth middleware is to verify like if the token that is the user has is valid or is not revoked and everything is correct. So this session injection middleware was also performing the job of auth middleware. So like there was repetitive requests being made to remote provider to introspect the token, to verify the token and all this. So this was also handled so that there is separation of concerns and logic between these two middlewares. And the third item was like when the authentication gets completed from the remote provider, we set bunch of cookies, and the cookies that we set are defined here. So the way we set and unset these cookies, there was like no uniform standard. So there were a bunch of configuration options for these cookies, like what should be the path or what domain at what subdomain this cookie should work, should be the expiry date, whether it is like HTTP only or not. So because we are not following the same set of configuration options, so users were like facing issues in like sometimes they were not getting redirected correctly, or sometimes they were facing issues with logout. So this PR handles all these cases, so that we don't have such issues ahead. So any questions or anything?
Yeah, I guess for my part, I just wanted to be clear as to the use, is this a single cookie or multiple?
There are multiple.
Okay. And just to recap, you were saying the purpose of, like largely the purpose of the, well, one of the cookies, and maybe it's multiple, is that for anyone who has run Meshery, when they first pull up the Meshery UI and it presents them with this choice of provider, can you just go over the importance of this enhancement, like but from a security centric perspective, like if I'm using Meshery and I expose Meshery's UI to the internet, because it's convenient to be able to get to that management interface, from wherever, from a remote location. But if there's this choice of provider on that UI, like, it just seems like anybody can go sign in or choose a different provider or something. So how does this interplay? How does that work?
Yeah, so every provider has its own authentication mechanism. So even if you have exposed your machine management interface to the internet, before you get access to that system, that interface, you will be redirected to the provider auth system or service, so that first your identity is verified, and after that you are given access. So Meshery has a remote provider called Layer5 Cloud, which provides this authentication service. The next one is like None, which is basically
Can you
which
get
is a no.
as you do, it's just as do you mind bringing up, like, is there I don't know if everyone knows when we say provider, necessarily what that means. It just, if there's like a screenshot or like oh, okay. Okay, I got you. Yeah, this is that first screen then when you first go to sign in. Okay.
Yes. So as you say, like we by default Meshery and none are enabled. So this Meshery provider is backed by Layer5 Cloud and has its own set of APIs and authentication mechanisms. So it ensures like your management interface is secured and no one else who is not authorized can access it. And there is another called like local or none provider, which is for users like if you don't want to persist your data, if you just want your interaction to be like transient and not to be stored anywhere. So this is the use case for none provider, and it doesn't have any authentication mechanisms. And I think there is a security loophole in this none provider when you are like connecting cluster, and if someone gets access to your system, because it doesn't carry any user related info, but stores your connection information at your local system. So if one gets access to that system, there might be a possibility of a security concern, rightly, or am I taking it wrong?
Yeah, to rephrase that, when you deploy Meshery into production, which by the way, I think we need to enhance some of the docs around like best practices of Meshery production deployment, but one of those best practices would be to disable this none provider, or if you'd like that provider, to leave it enabled, but protect the sign-in to Meshery, because basically like these are identity providers, more or less. It's like, hey, before you use Meshery, sign in and choose your identity provider. That's kind of the thing. If you say, so there's a built-in provider into Meshery, and it's labeled as none because it's essentially not an identity. Like if you choose none, you don't really have a user account. That's just fine. And because since there's no user account, like the authentication is generic, and because it's generic, it's like the same token, API token used. It's easy to circumvent Meshery's security if you deploy it and leave open the ability to choose none provider. When you deploy Meshery, one of its environment variables that you can set for its container is like a pre-selection of which provider you want to use. It's also not just an environment variable for the container, but if you've used Meshery CTL, and Meshery CTL is a lot like Cube CTL. It has many contexts. So you can Meshery CTL, you can use Meshery CTL, that command line client, to manage multiple Meshery deployments. And each of those deployments are configurable to a certain degree within the Meshery CTL context. Like you can configure, for that context, that Meshery is deployed on Kubernetes, and that deployment must use this provider. So you can basically, what I think you're getting at is you can lock down a given deployment and say that deployment is only allowed to use this identity provider or this one. And if you choose to use none, since it doesn't really have user accounts, the token that gets used is the same for everyone, and it's public token. So don't expose that to the internet. Like, if you either choose to use a different provider and expose that to the internet because that's secure and or disable none provider. So yeah, okay. Yeah, so no, I mean, so it is a security concern. It's something that the project has addressed, but you as someone who's deploying Meshery, make your choice, or do that conscientiously about how you allow people to sign into Meshery, because it's a piece of management software. So it can control all of your clusters if you want it to. And so as such, when users sign in, they too can control all the clusters.
That was the base one also. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. So, all right. So, next up it is from Deepak. So let me check if Deepak is with us today on call. Okay, so Deepak, do you mind going next with your item? Import Helm charts into Meshery.
Let me share my screen. This is the docs on how to import the Helm charts into the Meshery playground, mesh map. Let me get into the preview.
Have you considered both of the clients, like UI as well as Meshery CTL, or just Meshery UI? Hello, Deepak.
Yes. Can you say again? I mean, my internet is very slow.
Yeah, I was saying, have you considered both of the clients when writing this tutorial, or it's just that you have considered for...
Not the Meshery CTL, only the Meshery UI.
Okay, so will you add it?
Yeah, I can add it.
Good.
Basically,
along those same lines, there's two places in Meshery UI that you can upload a Helm chart or import a Helm chart. Are you familiar with that, Deepak?
I think through the Meshery CTL and through UI, right?
Uzair, do you want to explain?
No. Yes, these two are the clients, correct? But within the first client Meshery UI, you can have there are like multiple ways in which multiple areas from which you can import your Helm chart. So one is from the configuration page, you go into designs, you can use that model.
Yeah.
Or yeah. So and the other one is from like
from the mesh map.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what it is. In this docs I have just from the mesh map, but we can update through that designs also, configurations and designs also. That but usually when we are dealing with Helm charts and all these things, mesh map is better to use, so that we will have that visual views and all those things.
No, I don't think so, because like there has been use cases of scenarios wherein user just wanted to like import and just click on deploy because they have already verified or they're already aware of like what the design is. So they just
Okay.
want to like provision it. So it would be nice because it is like Meshery doc. So first we'll list for Meshery UI configurations page, and then Meshery CTL as a client, and then afterwards Meshman.
Yes, yes, that can be use case also. That can be also that can be also added in this. Better if we add one more docs separately on the Meshery CTL, because and one more thing is that we can have this deployment and undeployment and all those things into the clusters, how to apply this Helm charts into the cluster in the another docs in another tutorial better, because if we club up all those things, users cannot understand things like that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Deepak. Yeah, and that's kind of actually, there's something that a lot of you might be able to, well, like basically everybody on the call can probably assist with. It's the way there's a specific information architecture defined for Meshery docs, or in other words, there's a specific set of sections or categories inside of Meshery docs. You can more or less see them on the left-hand menu, overview and installation. Now, like the thing is so these guys, what you guys were just saying, there's like, at least 3 ways to import a Helm chart. And actually there's a fourth, because there's a fourth Meshery client.
Yes.
It's that layer 5 cloud. So you can import, so there's 4 ways to import a Helm chart. Great, wonderful. We should document that. And we are, and we have, but to sit there and iterate over all 4 ways, when someone who's just maybe trying to accomplish a task, it starts to get in the way of just like accomplishing the task. And so there, I think that we've started to get better about writing a tutorial and just sort of being opinionated in the tutorial and saying, hey, here, do it like this. In the tutorial, occasionally when it might make sense, when there are alternative ways for people to do the same thing, it might make a lot of sense to use one of those little informational call outs.
Yes. That is what.
But nice.
That is what we can add it here.
And so for everyone on the call, what I was trying to say is, you're all in a sweet position to be the judge of that. Or as you read through the Meshery docs, you're in a wonderful position to call out where something might be stale or where something isn't documented. And so, please do, please, it's actually for any of you that are here to also contribute, whether you're using the tool and just contributing back in terms of feedback, in terms of pointing out bugs, or in terms of like contributing to docs, or there's all kinds of ways to contribute, tons and tons. Or whether you're trying to sling some code, either way, you're all in a good position to help make sure that these are accurate. So Deepak, this looks robust at first glance. I wonder if including the Git rawify tool is something of a distraction. Yeah, do you really need a tool?
The main, I saw that the users who are coming here, they really are directly copying the link and pasting it, and they're facing that error, like you can't convert that is not a feasible format. Better if we add this information so that they can know this is the way.
Yeah, like this makes sense because sometimes users get into this error, but I think we should not have this as a prominent section, but as a note or somewhere like under an accordion, like you can go to Git referral, and we should not list all the steps to how to go through this Git referral, because when we do that, we just start documenting third-party things, and these things change, and then we have more breaking points in our docs. And if they change their UI or anything, then you need to know like we also have to update, and it gets hard. So if you just link to it, and I think that should be it, and making this
Yeah.
as a Like this should be a raw link and removing the flow of Git raw file.
Deepak,
Yep,
other thing is
I'll
that
add it as a note and in a short and script, short and crisp like of thing. Yes, we can add this as a note. Okay.
other thing is like not only GitHub links, but you can also add examples for like for artifact of like charts that are available inside artifact of repositories or the Helm charts repository. So you can also just add an example of that. That would be like very straightforward, and you will not be able. You will not be required to enter that Git raw file info and such.
Yeah,
So
yeah, fine.
add that example as well.
Apart from that, I think I need to. I'm thinking about it. Like, should I add this or in a separate tutorial, or in this tutorial only? Should I add this things like visualization and all this deployment and deployment?
If it's a tutorial, yeah, it makes sense that you could take it to conclusion. What's the title of, if the title of the tutorial is just how to import a Helm chart, then it's not really a tutorial. It's, and this is what I was talking about before, is like, in terms of the type of doc it is, it's more like a guide, like a task where you're saying, hey, there's a relatively small specific task. Here's how to execute that. And it kind of cuts off. Then a
Yes.
different task would be how to deploy a design. And then you would go into this. If it's a tutorial, which goes sort of soup to nuts, end to end, then
Yes, I think this is a tutorial, right? That is why I just added this for deployment and all those things. Yep. This is my update actually.
Thank you, Deepak. All right, so next update is from Bhumij. Okay, Slok. So Slok, do you mind covering these items?
Yeah, sure. Is my screen visible? Wait, let me, sure. Yeah. So the first issue was that the unit tests for Meshery CTL were breaking. So here's a PR related to this, and the run coverage is working fine. So if someone wants to have a look, I'll just share the link directly over there. And other than that, I have one sec. I have an item for volunteer. So if you run Meshery UI and you hover over this part, I'll just get my camera over there. So if you hover over the right hand icon and the mouse leaves, the icon is the submenu is still there. So any one of you, if you want to fix this, the issue is open, you can start. Okay. That's it from my side. Any questions?
Thank you, Slok. So hopefully you have shared the links also in the chat. So if anyone wants to, they can sign up for the issue.
Yeah, I'll share just in the screen share. I can't see the chat.
All right, so I'll get you then. I'll be sharing my screen once again. All right, so I have this update about Discussion Forum, so I'll be quickly sharing that. Yeah, so we are celebrating 3 years of Layer5's community forum, that is at discuss.layer5.io, and most of you are already familiar with it. So on the forum you find future roadmaps of the project and the action items that are going on in the community. Also queries around products and how to set the projects locally by contributors. So I wanted to share these stats that reflect the engagement and kind of collaboration that is going on the forum. So I just wanted to thank all of those folks who have who are putting efforts to make the forum a better place for collaboration and sharing knowledge. So if like you want to contribute, please consider sharing your next sessions or asking your next question on discussion forum. It also helps community managers, maintainers, take a look at your question if they have missed in Slack, because there are so many messages in Slack. So yeah, that was all. And I'll also be dropping the links in chat if anyone wants to go and check out if they have not already. Okay, so that was it. Let me once again share my screen. So next item is from Bhuminjay on migrating RJSF to systems. So do we have Bhuminjay now?
Hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yep. So let me share my screen. So so I was working on this issue to remove the code of fetching RJSF schemas from API and use to assistant libraries. So I have already made the PR previously, but it was delayed because of my exams and other issues. So uh, and previously it was facing an issue of like only the technology section, only a single Kubernetes item was showing. So recently I have updated it with recent code and also uploaded a video of it. So let me show the video that it is working fine with most of the technologies showing on it.
Thank you,
So
Vijay. I think
here I have uploaded.
Yeah.
So
Thank you,
here
Vijay.
all the technologies
I was just saying that, like, I think we already discussed this one, and I
okay.
think you need a last review to make sure that before we merge, I will make sure that I give it a review today because it's been a long for that PR. Thank you for that.
Yep, I'm also sorry for delaying this PR from my end. Sorry. So, hello.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Bhuminjay. So yeah, I'll be. Okay, so hopefully my screen is visible. And next up, we have Rex. So Rex, do you mind covering your item? I'll be checking if we have. Oh yeah.
No, we can't hear you. No.
Not Rex. Like.
Yeah, that won't work.
Can you
Yeah,
hear me
okay.
now? It's much better.
Nope, it's gonna keep cutting in and out. We've done it.
Is it clear
We're
now?
good. That
Oh,
was
it's
clear.
working. Oh my God. Okay, let's try it. My update is on systems and the use of systems components first in Meshery. Systems is layer 5's design system. And this is the link that can take you to web pages, possibly figure out what it's about. Incidentally, the about section is not, it has a few sections left, like place, including development guidelines. But apart from that, it is done. So systems is layer 5's design system. It has guidelines for layer 5 components, typography, and that. So in Figma, a couple of
Again, your voice is cutting.
design
Sorry to interrupt you.
used. This was about section. So this is the that is most important of the implementation to be 5. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, let me just maybe I should just sound off the call for volunteers then, since that doesn't necessarily require me talking much.
Yeah. Did we lose Rex altogether? Okay. All right. Well, good. Hey, we've got a couple of, there's 2 other topics that I'm hoping we might be able to get to today. One is from Matt. Abraham, every time I want to, man, every time I want to say Ibrahim, but it's Abraham, right? And so we've got one
Abraham.
from you. Yeah, Abraham.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Oh, geez. So Abraham, and then Chris, Chris Carrier has one as well. He's been sort of patiently waiting for some feedback, and there's been progress that I think he might not be aware of. So it'd be nice to get to two topics, one from Abraham, one for Chris, I guess. Abraham, if you don't mind, take it away.
Sure, no problem. Okay. I was working on dating components and models, and let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Oh, well, when you come.
Yep.
So yeah. Yeah. So I was working on updating components and models in a Meshery, in a Linkerd adapter, and then Linkerd adapter has this library dependency. So I had to first make the changes in here before I can update them in the Linkerd adapter. I see there's a new comment from user. I'll address this in a few. But I think I changed the schema because it's missing from, I removed it because it's missing from the component definition in B1 beta 1. But I'll
No,
confirm.
actually, if you see the schema, the struct correctly, it is captured inside. There is a top level component definition struct. Inside there is an attribute called component, and inside that we are capturing the API version kind and schema. So you might need to like have a look over schema again.
Okay, I'll take a look again.
Other thing is like, have you verified, like, or do you know the process, like how you can verify if the components that will be generated from these changes are compatible with the existing Meshery server, or like how you will verify the testing, or are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that process. Actually, that was part of the last statement that I was about to say is I would appreciate any links and to design documents and maybe plans for this, because I'm kind of working in the dark. Just following what's already in Meshkit, but I don't have the full picture of what's required. Yes.
And I will share the link, but if but because like you are like new to community and new to this stuff, so if it becomes too overwhelming, so please say so. But I can contribute, or we can contribute and complete this PR, because it might be a bit overwhelming for you, because models and comments are two deep topics, and you are like certainly new to this, so no worries.
It's not overwhelming for me. Yeah.
Okay.
I just need all of it, so I can take time and get up to speed with everything. Okay, thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Ibrahim. So next up, Chris, do you mind sharing your update?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The beginning of a mapping document between artifact hubs. I guess take a step back. What I've been working on is the plan to automate the process of generating artifact hub metadata based on the existing Meshery metadata for designs. So created a document to start to outline that mapping and put it out there for an initial review. And then I've been traveling for the past week or so, and so haven't not had a chance yet to look through the comments on that, but I'm planning on doing that today. So I think for me, my next steps are to look at the comments, take action based on any of those comments, put up another version and move that kind of design discussion forward before moving on to the next, basically before moving on to further kind of documentation and solidifying of the plan.
Yep, right on. Chris, and actually, the way that I wanted to bring up this topic today was maybe less so in expectation that Chris had an update, but a bit more so of like, of trying to give Chris an update on like how we're getting feedback, or like how there's some pre-work to making sure that the feedback that goes in here is accurate. So for most of us, like Chris was saying, we're aware that well, Chris just made a blog post on Meshery.io. If you haven't seen it, it's on Meshery.io/blog. I encourage you to go read it. It's short and sweet and says how it is that Meshery and Artifact Hub are coming together. And that was sort of an initial step, I guess, towards this direction. There's a few more steps that are being taken here, and whether Chris likes it or not, his name has now gotten affiliated with this area, and so he's championing. He's pushing us forward. And part of the way that he's doing that is helping ensure that just like a Helm chart that you can put into Artifact Hub, you can put a Meshery design into Artifact Hub. So is Bumanje? Yeah, Bumanje, of like, you're publishing quite a few Meshery designs. That's pretty fantastic. Those same design, you're curating them well and you're getting them published into the catalog. And those are all candidates then for not only being published in Meshery's catalog, but also being published in Artifact Hub, which is really just a massive catalog of cloud native artifacts. And thanks to Chris, our Meshery designs are now our first class cloud native artifact in Artifact Hub, in order to help ensure that anytime someone like Bumanje or any of us takes a Meshery design and, puts in a little bit of effort to curate it and make sure it's well described. And then if we choose to publish it, it will go out into this catalog. In the very same motion, it would be ideal if any amount of formatting or compatibility with Artifact Hub is also performed in that same moment. And so what's been identified is that there needs to be an adjacent file next to your design file. There needs to be an Artifact Hub file. That Artifact Hub PKG file helps describe what's inside of the design. So it's just it's the translation for Artifact Hub to understand what's inside the design. As Chris is going through and making sure that we are describing a Meshery design appropriately to Artifact Hub, he's lining up these various properties here. These are the Artifact Hub properties. This is how Artifact Hub interprets and understands a given, I'm trying to think of another word other than artifact, but a given artifact inside of Artifact Hub. And I fear that part of this effort is hamstrung slightly, not based on a lack of Chris being organized and making a proposal. This is fantastic. This is all that I could have hoped for. It's that in Meshery, there are two constructs, two formal schemas that are relevant here. One of the schemas describes a design and all the stuff that you see inside a design. Okay, great. And then there's another schema, and Yash, maybe, or Uzair, maybe you have a link to this other schema that is for a piece of catalog content. Like, it's sort of Meshery. Chris, if you were to think of it, just like Artifact Hub has this package, this package.yaml file that is metadata describing the content, describing that piece of content. So too does, in the very same way, Meshery has a metadata, like has a bit of metadata that you're working with right here that describes what that piece of what that design is. And so in the way that Meshery has been developed, there are two formalized like JSON schemas, one for what constitutes a Meshery design, and the other one for like what constitutes a piece of content inside of the Meshery catalog. And this one has been the bane of my existence for like a year and a half. It is ill-formed. I've perpetually asked other people to do it. And it's not done. It's not done well. And so Chris, what I fear that you're working with is something that needs enhancement in general. Yeah, is any of what I just said coming together? Like that?
Yeah, I
Cattle-
mean, that all makes sense to me. I guess in working on this originally, sorry for the being done here. Just let me know if you can't hear me. But I guess there's a question like this process because that catalog file is generated from basically from this other metadata that kind of maybe what means the kind of naive viewer would see as maybe this more of like the master metadata and then sort of processed into that other catalog, like catalog markup file. Is that a appropriate way to think about it?
Yeah, it is.
So you're saying the catalog metadata in the markdown has the bane of your existence. In this use case, does it make sense as the source for this, or should we just go right back to the sort of parent the root metadata?
Yeah, great question. Man, and sitting in your shoes, I think you've understood it as well as it has been described to you. That's wonderful. I think the answer is that yes, we should continue to use this catalog metadata as the properties to map back and forth. The part that I was trying to call out is like, oh, these could be a lot better. So it just makes me feel bad that like we can do this, we can complete this effort, and I would hope in a short time frame, we would want to come back and revisit this because this has been made better than it is. Maybe that's the way I should have presented it, is that like, hey, this is the right thing. I think there can be a small amount of feedback and we can proceed and we'll be successful and we'll take that next step. And then just, hey, caveat it with, don't be upset when like a month from now or something, part of this has been refined, enhanced, or, and for us to revisit what that mapping is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Is anyone working on the Golang translation here? Yash, I don't know if that's something that you have on your plate as a future item.
Yeah, right now I'm not working, but yeah, it was in backlog item for me.
Okay, or yeah, are you intending to, like, this is something that you're tracking, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, there was another contributor, Nikhil V, and we haven't heard from him for a week or so, a couple of weeks. Yash, you've dealt with the catalog quite a bit. I think you've worked on the current translation that happens that Chris was referring to, the automatic like creation of our metadata file, the one that Chris has inside of his Google Doc or the Google Doc. Great. Uzair, anything to add on here? So I had just brought up this other schema file. Should we be making reference to that as Chris is going through this effort, or what?
Actually, I think because if you see that schema file that I just shared, it doesn't captures like what are the specifics of like what are the contents of the catalog data. It's just that it's a map of strings and nothing more. So once we finalize what the actual content that we were just sharing, like what will be the content inside catalog data, we can define the schema and then publish it so that it is available for easy reference to Chris as well as to other artifact hub interns if they want to look at it. So yeah, my thinking is to first finalize that. I think we have already finalized it. Just last TV needs to be made, I think, right? And after that, we can update that schema.
Yeah, so your response is kind of where I was initially when I was sheepishly trying to tell Chris, like, there's a little bit of pre-work, or like maybe some of that will be a little changed just a little bit. But at least I guess we've accomplished a couple of things. One, Yash, you're on task here, or like that's coming up on your plate shortly, as a to write that transcription really of just like from this YAML to that YAML, or to like auto generate the artifact hub package file using a short bit of Golang. That would become a standard artifact anytime that someone downloads a design file, or certainly anytime, certainly anytime that someone publishes a design file. And then if they're downloading it as an OCI image, since it's a tar-gz anyway, we might just automatically include the artifact hub package file just in case somebody wants to. The thing about now that we're all comfortable in understanding where we are, let me confuse it slightly with that last statement. And that is to say, Chris, our integration. So if you guys haven't read Chris's blog post, I know we're over time. So anybody that's still on, thanks for being on. The Artifact Hub has this system in which it's just this massive catalog of cloud native artifacts, and Meshery is now one of those, like we were saying. So I'm just trying to bring up an example real fast. Here's a design, a Meshery design published to Meshery's catalog and now also published to Artifact Hub. So this is not like the Meshery Helm chart to install Meshery. This is a design that talks about that Sangram wrote. The way that Artifact Hub, the way that Meshery's integration with Artifact Hub works is using Artifacts Hub sort of generic poller, if you will. I'm telling Chris things that he already knows, but Artifact Hub goes out, polls various Helm repos and various other GitHub repos. And so they have different types of pollers or scanners. Some are custom fit for a particular artifact type. In Meshery's case, it's just like the generic poller. So all it really does is just goes to some repo and looks for Artifact Hub package files, and it finds them, it brings them back. At some point, Chris, if we're exporting a Meshery design, not just as a single file, but as an OCI, as a tar-gz, an OCI image, and that tar-gz would really just include like two files, like the Meshery design and the Artifact Hub YAML or package YAML. The poller, that scanner, then it is for Artifact Hub, it is capable of scanning, or they have a scanner for, hold your breath, where is it? OCI images. I guess what I'm alluding to, what I'm trying to get to is, at some point, this may come into play where when you export a Meshery design, you can end up with, we wouldn't send your browser two files. We'd tar-gz it, we'd zip it, and you'd unzip it and have two files. And if we're going to do that, and we already support OCI image format in that tar-gz, it's like that might become a little more of the de facto export type, or like we'd probably give people a choice. Maybe they, whatever. Anyway, the point of what I'm taking a really damn long time to say is maybe the way by which they scan us, maybe that would evolve to their OCI scanner. So
I feel like where we are right now is kind of, as you said, is like the starting point. It's what they give, the beginning of integration. So we almost prove ourselves that we can make integration easy, and then over time, as you're saying, I think it can evolve and become more useful to the point where, like for instance, Helm charts integrate without a generated metadata because their custom integration just reads it all from the Helm metadata directly, basically. I think we could, yeah, evolve it towards something a little more. Include image.
Chris, we will, I promise to attempt to make some awkward moment in the future in which I ask you to explain some of the shrooms behind you and you know, but I just want to give a heads up that that's coming. So we'll have to.
Fair enough. Yeah, the shelf of all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for this, Chris. It was it's a well done spec. And if there are quick changes that we know of, then we might be able to get that in. Otherwise, it sounds like we might just proceed as is with the properties that are there. I mean, clearly they work. We've got a couple of them published, but okay. Well, hey, I apologize for taking everyone over time. I wanted to seize the opportunity to.
So, thank you, everyone. Actually, Vivek has to go, so I will make a small announcement before going and wrapping up the call. We have a newcomers call tomorrow, and if you have any, like, it's a great call if you are new to the layer 5, if you have any kind of questions, because meshmates, mentors, and community managers most of time presents in the newcomers call, so you will get a chance to interact with them. So make sure if you're new to the layer 5, you try to join the newcomers call. We also have a Meshery build and release call tomorrow too. So if you are around for the Kubernetes, DevOps, CI/CD, this kind of area, it's a great call for you to join and jump in to get an issue assigned or to get an update if you want to contribute, if you have any kind of queries and questions. So that's all. We have missed a couple of items this week, so we will make sure that we will be covering next week same time. So thank you for joining today, everyone. See you next week same time. Bye.
Thanks, guys. See you, Yash.
Right.